Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I'm going to give you my list of the top 10 most shafted characters in Marvel Future Fight. And now I know what you might be thinking, but Cynicalex, doesn't shafted just mean that the character is bad and needs a rework, a new uniform? And we've been getting a lot of those lately, and they've been really good. Yes and no. A lot of these characters on the list for most shafted have uniforms, have gotten uniforms in the last 6 to 12 months, and have already gotten tier 3s, and still, for one reason or another, for some reason, remain shafted. So it's actually a pretty unique list. I'm pretty happy with, the creativity that I was able to display here. So I wanted to bring this to you guys. I wanted to do something new and something sort of fun and lighthearted that I haven't done in a while. And also I want to say at the top here, this is just, a list. Maybe the devs see it, maybe they don't. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not too pressed. Don't be too upset if your favorite character's on here. You can still play with whoever you want in this game. That's what makes this game amazing. But trust me, I'll make a good argument for why all 10 of these characters have been shafted in one way or another. So, starting us off on the list at number 10, we have Wave. And now Wave, when she came out, was hyped as the first Marvel, Filipino ethnic hero. Really cool. Very interesting backstory. She's got a lot of uniqueness to her. Really cool animations in the game that really illustrate, the island sort of culture that she comes from. But Wave quickly went beneath the surface of the water. Her leadership and support were basically the best aspects of this character. Her support passive being this increased damage to villains and decreased damage from villains, but it only applied to heroes. And her leadership basically only applies to Namor. So she was a perfect match for Namor. But then 2 months after her and Namor coming out at the same time, they snatched Namor away from her and made him a Phoenix Force villain, which means that she was basically relegated to being only a leadership. Poor Wave. Now it gets worse. Since then, she hasn't gotten anything, not to mention the fact that she's still a 750 crystal heroic quest character, and she's had to watch, in the meantime, White Fox get not one, but 2 different uniforms. Ouchie, ouchie. On top of the fact that now, Wave has been relegated to cameo mode. She is only featured in skills for other stronger, more useful characters, i.e. Silk. So as cool as it was to see Wave show up in Silk's 5th skill, my heart kind of breaks a little bit every time I see Wave here, because I'm like, oh honey, this is literally the best thing you've done in the game in years. And it's not even your character, it's not even your skill, it's Silk's skill. So if you want to play with Wave, in my opinion, my advice is play with Silk. And you'll have a blast seeing Wave once in a while. Coming in at number 9, we have Baby Groot, aka Teen Groot, aka Guardians of the Galaxy Groot, Secret Wars Groot, or the worst holiday uniform Groot. The reason why Groot's been shafted is because he's just been shafted. You can just see how many different times they've iterated on this formula. Let's make him a speed type. Let's take him back to combat. Let's make him universal. And yet, he's never really been meta. He definitely had his time in the sun to an extent, but that was like 5.5 years ago. It's really like a long time ago. And now, with the last iteration of Groot being a pretty big miss on, attached to a really big name, big ticket movie, right, Infinity War, they've sort of outdone themselves here. Snowflake Festival Groot is hands down the most mid holiday, rare, semi-exclusive uniform in the game. And it really competes with the other basically most useless exclusive uniform, which is the one that I don't own, Captain Marvel Secret Wars. So yeah, honestly, there's not really much to say about Groot. At this point, I'm not even sure if I want him to get another uniform. He'll probably get one for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Groot obviously sells really well because he's just really cute and he's really iconic. But man, they really got to stop putting him through the wood chipper. This dude needs some love. He needs some, some of that varnish, some of that wood healing thing that all those carpenters rub on with their fancy towels and stuff. Because yeah, he's just, as you can see, he sort of knows deep down in his heart. You can see there's a broken tree trunk behind those eyes. Coming in at number 8, we have Black Panther. Now, I originally didn't want to make this list featuring him, but I knew a lot of you guys in the comments would say that Black Panther has been shafted and he definitely deserves better, and I 100% agree. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I said, you know what? History has not been kind to Black Panther in MFF at all, because when he came out originally, he wasn't a strong character to begin with. Civil War didn't do anything for him, although, let's be fair, the Civil War uniforms were not good for most characters. But then this uniform, which was for his debut movie, which is supposed to be a huge power jump, and it was a huge power jump for him, but it had the dubious honor or just the bad timing of being the update right before April 2018, which is when they dropped tier 3 characters, with starting off with tier 3 Captain America. So the only thing worse than not being super OP meta when your movie comes out is watching in 1 month as you're replaced by a stronger version of yourself, because they're both combat types, but Cap just had way more juice, not only in the uniform, but in the fact that he could then just go and double his skills, his stats, and get an extra skill with his tier 3. So that really put a huge shadow over Black Panther for a while, and then we were waiting for a big hit, and unfortunately I don't think 3099 was that hit. So we've seen a lot of misses from Black Panther. Hopefully with BP2 we will finally see this character, you know, ascend the throne where he belongs. This is sort of like a feels bad man Shaft. I don't want to put him on this list, but I think it kind of, you know, it kind of should be here. Similarly, at number 7, with a character that got a uniform very recently, but just doesn't really do much, we have Baron Zemo, if I can ever find him. And yeah, Baron Zemo is kind of like Wave. He came out and he made no splash, and now he got a uniform and he made no splash. He has more value than Wave does because of his leadership and this little dance here, but he's essentially a meme in Marvel Future Fight. And at this point, when characters come out, if they don't have a tier 3, if they don't have a Transcendence, they have to be as good or better than Cersei. And Baron Zemo is he's not even the S in Cersei, let alone the rest of the letters. So this dude has just been the whipping boy, and also the poster child for how bad certain effects are in this game. Increases bleed effect by 30%. You could increase bleed effect by 3 million %. It wouldn't make this character good. So yeah, hopefully the devs sort of rectify this one and unshaftify the Baron of Zemo. Coming in at number 6, we actually have a tier 3 character, Crescent. And the interesting thing here with Crescent, she's a lot better than some of the other characters I've mentioned, probably worse than Black Panther. Black Panther might actually be the strongest character on this list, but the thing with Crescent is she's an original character. Like, she's an OC character that made their first appearance here in Marvel Future Fight, like Sharon Rogers, like Luna Snow. And unfortunately, unlike Sharon Rogers and unlike Luna Snow, Crescent just does not have the juice at all. Her juice box is empty. That Capri Sun has air in it. And she already got a uniform, and it was basically a huge miss. It was a huge swing and a huge miss. And you juxtapose that, or you compare that to Sharon and Luna. Sharon just queen, super queen. This uniform is a year and a half old, and she's still competing. She still competes with the top of the meta. Luna Snow is still the queen for ABX. Crescent is a character in Marvel Future Fight. So yeah, unfortunately, Crescent and Io, please pull yourselves together. Coming in at number 5, we have SpiderMan, and this one's pretty easy. Basically, for whatever reason, is it, you know, Sony versus Marvel? You know, is it just that he's so popular it doesn't matter? SpiderMan just hasn't gotten love from the devs. Really, he's sort of been shafted since 2017. 2017 was really the last time that SpiderMan had a really cool uniform that actually put him near the top of the meta. Now, one might speculate that he was too strong and particularly too annoying in the meta back in 2017, and the devs just don't want to make that mistake again, creating a character that's just so toxic and so boring for PvP that he just ruins everything. I don't really think that's possible anymore. I think the landscape of PvP has evolved to the point where Spider-Man just won't ever be able to dominate unless he comes through with some sort of new ability that, you know, it webs you and ignores your debuff immunity, like how Mockery ignores debuff immunity. Barring some crazy stunt like that, which would possibly make Spider-Man the best PvP character in the game, which I'm not sure they want, there's basically no way that he's ever going to return to his former glory of literally webbing up enemies permanently. You could be in a match for 5 minutes straight, and this punk would be standing there at the end of those 5 minutes completely unharmed because he had webbed you up for a full 5 minutes. Now, again, maybe that's what put the devs off making him meta, but we've seen so many cool looking uniforms that have just been pretty mid for him and have only gotten more mid as they introduce more uniforms. And at this point, he's like so far out of the meta that I mean, you know, No Way Home is coming out. We'll have to wait and see, but the shaftening could continue. It could be the shaftening volume. What are we on now? 9, 10 for Spidey. He's gotten a ton of uniforms, and really they've really only hit with him once. So not quite shafted as bad as some other characters in terms of always being misses, but in terms of overall number of misses, he's definitely batting a very, very, very low average. At number 4, we have Iceman. And the thing that really, you know, breaks me up about this character is he's so strong in the comics, in the TV shows, even to a lesser extent in the movies. He's an Omega level mutant that can influence weather on a near global scale. He could create an ice age if he, you know, had enough reason to. And yet in this game, he's melted. He's a melted popsicle on the side of the road. And not to mention the fact that he's a melted popsicle, but he's also one of the more expensive characters in the game. So you couple extreme chill on your wallet because you don't want to shell out for this character with the fact that he's not even that good, and it feels like the devs are just trying to get by on brand recognition and name alone. Like, we know you love Bobby Drake. We know you're gonna, you know, freeze up over this dude, so we're not really gonna put the secret sauce into his design. And I feel like that happens with quite a lot of mutants, and that's sort of a theme that I want to address later on when we get to the number 2 and the number 1 characters. But Iceman is really indicative of this larger issue with mutants where they're either really good or really mediocre. And unfortunately, for 2 looks now, 2 different uniforms, essentially, he's been very, very mid, basically sub-mid. The last non-mutant on this list at number 3, and that's why we're sort of jumping to number 3 ahead of them, is Green Goblin. Now, this one's kind of tricky, but basically the reason why I think Green Goblin has been shafted is because his best look, his most iconic, most useful look, is not even him. It's his Iron Man cosplay. So that's what I think is kind of sad. For such an iconic, such a cool, classic, strong villain of Spider-Man, the Green Goblin, his 2 other uniforms have been versions of him that average fans are not going to recognize. And I'm not saying you have to make uniforms for average fans, but give me a break, man. Like, there's no hobgoblin in this game, and the only 2 looks that you can muster for this dude are ones that don't even have him on the iconic glider. You know, I just long for the day where Green Goblin is Green Goblin and I can play as him. Call me kind of traditional for that one, but yeah, I hope that he gets unshafted eventually. Now, we're gonna spoil the number 1 here because this is gonna be a 1-2 punch, but basically I think the 2 most shafted characters in this game, despite the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of the number 1, is Magic at number 2 and Emma Frost at number 1. I truly believe these are the most shafted characters in Marvel Future Fight because they are expensive characters to build, and they've gotten multiple uniforms, and they have been failed multiple times. Between the 2 of them, there are 3 different uniforms, a total of 5 unique looks, and yet we have 0 good characters. It really is pretty tragic. And I don't know which one is more tragic. I put Emma Frost number 1 because she has an extra uniform, so they had an extra chance to try with her. But Magic has had her own movie, right? I know it was all bungled and whatever, but, like, you know, the character has been featured on the big screen. This character is not, you know, a character that's unknown, right? This character has long history, ties to Limbo. Like, this character has roots all throughout the Marvel universe, all throughout comics, and yet most people are just gonna be like, yeah, Colossus' sister. Yeah, cool, that's it. And nothing else. And it's like, man, she's so strong. She wields this massive sword. She summons these dogs. She has these portals. She's so cool. Emma Frost is like Professor X with hair. A little bit more than that, but you sort of get what I'm saying here. These are cool characters. These are very unique characters. They have very cool power sets, and yet they've just failed, and they've had the ball dropped on them. And it's weird to me because other characters, and the reason why I feel like it's a pretty big shaft, other characters in this game with similar power sets have gotten a completely opposite treatment, right? Characters that have more bland power sets, I'm not saying they're weaker. I'm just saying that Emma Frost, not only being a very strong telepath, but she has that diamond form. That's so cool. There's so many unique ways that you can position that in the game. Happened once on her original uniform, and then they took it away forever. She only had diamond form on her original uniform, I believe. Yeah, you can see there her third skill is called diamond form. And they got rid of it as soon as possible. This is so cool, dude. Bring Diamond Form back. It's so dope. And bring in the Limbo. We need Magic to take us to Limbo. Magic's tier 3 needs to be, I'm going to take you and me, like domain expansion in Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm going to take you and me to Limbo, and we're going to see what you can really do. And if you can survive in that hellscape. You know, that's what it needs to be. Yeah, so these characters have way too much potential to continue getting shafted. And so having 3 out of the top 4 being mutants sort of led me to say, you know, mutants in general have kind of been shafted. And you can see that in other mutants here that I'm not going to spend too much time on, but yeah, it's sort of been like a throw it out there and forget it type of vibe for mutants. There are some strong mutants, don't get me wrong. There are some mutants that are strong, but it's starting, the scales are starting to tip in the other direction, and we haven't had a mutant update since February. So maybe it's time, I don't know. If not now, this is basically the last update. I was saying this on Twitch. After this next update, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to wait until after Shang-Chi comes out for the update, it's going to be Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Eternals, or Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man. Like, that's going to be basically the layout of these updates. So you're looking at next year, the earliest, for any kind of mutant content. We missed the Hellfire Gala, all this other stuff, some Marauders, etc. So, yeah. What do you guys think? Do you know a character that's been more shafted that I missed? Hit me up in the comments down below. Pick a character that you think has been more shafted than my top 10 and list me the reasons why. Is it Abomination because he was mislabeled as a Danger Room character? Is it somebody else entirely? Is it Squirrel Girl because she beat up Thanos and Galactus? Who knows? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.